I've not had much in the way of real side experiences. I had a little view earlier in the week. It wasn't much. It's only what I've had before, and didn't last for long. But it was just like I was given the impression. I was like, I sang the new sound, and I was in my car at the time. I was waiting for the wife. She was in the shop, and something about see, but you don't say much. So I just sang the new sound. I was waiting about 20 minutes, and I got the impression I got the bird's eye view where I was just flying above the clouds like a bird. I didn't see no wings. I didn't see anything else. So just looking down on the clouds. But the clouds were golden. Like it was reflecting the sunlight off them really, really bright. It was lovely. It was really nice. It was nice. Yeah, that was it. That's all I had.
Yes, it's an opportunity for everyone to fly with whatever. Okay, so yes, thank you. Thank you, Pearce.
I seemed to be a youngster in this short dream. I found myself seated on the floor in evidently the living room of a smallish house, much the size of the house I lived in with my parents and sister for the first 17 years of my life in Saxon Road in Luton, before we eventually moved to a bigger and better house. Opposite me was a dining table of the type we have now, with folding leaves on each side of a central part. The side next to the wall had its leaf folded down, while the side facing me had its one in the up position, although I could not see any supporting hinge leg holding it up. As I sat there, I was aware of a bagged loaf of sliced wholemeal bread to my right side. I pulled out the top slice and hurled it across the room and under the table. Under the table was a totally blank void, and instead of landing on the floor or striking the inside of the far table leaf or wall beneath it, it simply vanished in mid-flight. I pulled out another slice and hurled it also under the table with the same result. I had done this 3 or 4 times when instead of bread I found myself picking up a toy crane. The crane was, as far as memory now allows, a pretty accurate version of a bright yellow dinky toy with a black base I'd had as a child in the 1950s. It had a rotating cabin with a working jib on a square base with a road wheel in each corner. Dinky toys were pretty accurate die-cast model motor vehicles, etc., which the kids of my time tended to collect. I was lucky in having very many useful uncles and aunts. Both my parents had had numerous siblings and was always getting dinky toys for Christmas, etc. presents, until I had a collection of over 100. All of them lovingly looked after and kept in their boxes. As collector's pieces now, they would have been worth an absolute fortune. Unfortunately, as a teenager, toys became an embarrassment and I gave them away, or in some cases even threw them away. Anyway, loving of them as I may have been, didn't seem to stop me giving this crane the sliced bread fate of hurling it under the table, where it too disappeared soundlessly, to be followed by 2 or 3 further such identical cranes with the same outcome. That's the end of the dream. I've got a few thoughts on it though. After racking my brains, I came up with a few ideas of what this was all about. Being in a house, I know referenced the personal self being a reproduction of the house on the physical side, on the real side. I'm not sure if the table as such had any relevance, but was at the least the surrounding architecture of the more significant darkness of the tunnel entrance or whatever of the void underneath it. The darkness or black hole generally implies the unknown or the future. As regards the bread, I'm reminding of the London Cockney rhyming slang of using your loaf. That is, loaf of bread equals head. For those unfamiliar with this English quirky nonsense, Apparently, in the old days, Cockney Londoners, the name given to those who were supposed to have been born within the sound of Bow Bells, used the device of rhyming slang to confuse others, especially the police, when overheard discussing their nefarious activities. To make it even more obscure, the second part or word would often be dropped, as with the loaf example, and in this form many examples have found their way into general English slang over much of the country. Anything to confuse the tourists. Having said all this, I'm not sure that hurling food or toys under a table could be considered using your head. Another thought was that bread often used to be called the staff of life, so maybe the bread in the dream symbolised life generally. The cranes could signify work, as what is a crane, apart from a bird, but a very much hard-working machine used for lifting and reciting often heavy items. Here again, being toy cranes suggests the past, that is childhood. I think myself maybe that the theme is one of getting rid of the past and indeed the present in an endeavour to move on. The fact there were numerous items of each type suggests we are dealing with many lifetimes rather than just the one. Probably many of them were, like this one, overburdened with work to the extent I have been unable to see the wood for the trees, or perhaps the loaf for the bread. And that's the end of my little dream for today.
Oh no, that's fine. That's a cool dream, young man. And you collected over 100 of these dinky toys. I kind of remember those. Yeah. I think they're all over the world. They may have came from Europe or Germany or somewhere like that, but I may have had a few. I don't remember, but 100 is a lot. Yeah, so that's a real reference. But no, that's good enough. You decide if you feel good about it. That's it. That's cool. And the table, things are served on the table, so that's next or whatever, but you decide.
Thank you for listening to this video. The NUUU, Nations United, UNUversal UNUversity, is dedicated to supporting and providing a real purpose and real awareness with the all-natural environment supporting all of us. First comes this earth with food and rainforests, and to protect what is still here. If you want to know more, contact USA Dean Val and UK Dean Kevin on Facebook and YouTube, or through the website provided in the links, DuaneTheGreatWriter.net. For those who have the awareness to see what is actually taking place here with all the natural devastation, which is also purposely planned by WorldKontrollers, you now have a real opportunity to step up and do something with those who also care about your planet Earth. Duane Lee Heppner has created the NUUU, Nations United UNUversal, UNUversity, which completely entails the all-natural environment everywhere, and a real education that has real value, and that far surpasses any commonly created indoctrinating educational system that does not focus on what sustains all of us naturally. Real survival makes sense, with everything here that is self-sustaining.